Yeah, no, we've syndicated several projects. I've done about $15 million in capital raises in the last 2 years. We're wrapping up a $5 million raise for our project, and almost $6 million raise for our project in Denton. So we do a combination of both. We invest in the deals ourselves, and then bring in investors. There's a lot of people that want to be in this business that don't want to be in operations. So we're pretty turnkey. I mean, we have both a development arm, capital raising arm, and operations. And so it's all kind of, it's not under one roof, but it's under the control of one person. So essentially, I'm, for lack of a better term, a unicorn, because we're doing it all. We may outsource different things, but we formed a really good partnership with a local development company here in A&G Development. And we anticipate doing a lot of future deals with them, and really, trying to change senior housing all over Texas. And after we do it in Texas, and then do it in other places as well.
Welcome to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast, your source for real-world strategies focused on creating long-term wealth, cash flow, and financial freedom through real estate. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful real estate investors and thought leaders, we provide you the tools to succeed and reach the lifestyle you always wanted. And now your host, Dwaine Clarke.
Hello and welcome to the Wealth of Real Estate Investing podcast. This is your host, Dwaine Clarke. And today we have Loe Hornbuckle. Loe is the CEO and founder of Sage Oak Assisted Living and Memory Care. Loe, thank you so much for joining us on the show. And how are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dwaine. I'm doing well. And yourself?
Absolutely. Very good. Really appreciative of you taking the time to speak with us. And this is a very interesting topic. As I mentioned pre-show, this is a niche that not many people that I know of, because I talk to a lot of different syndicators and real estate investors, and this is something that's very interesting that I'd love to learn more about. But before we kick things off, if you don't mind, for the listeners, just talk about a little about your background, how you got started in real estate.
Yeah. So, I was actually, I worked at a car dealership for about 10 years, from like 20 to 30, 20 years old to 30 years old, and really learned a lot about business in that environment. Obviously it's a sales environment, and then worked my way into the finance department, where there's a lot of loans and risk analysis and sort of things that kind of go with that. And started investing in real estate in 2007, as kind of a side gig, and then really got earnest about it in maybe 2010. And bought a lot of single family rentals and was managing those while I ran the car dealership. And then, eventually transitioned into passively investing in some bigger projects, and also, starting the assisted living company. A lot of that came about because my father had a really bad experience on hospice, and it was a difficult time for the family, and we kind of took that negative and kind of turned it into a positive. But also too, I felt like there was a really compelling demographic story about how the country's changing, and kind of getting in position to take advantage of these demographic shifts. If you really look at history, obviously large numbers of people are going to move the needle in a lot of ways. And so if you just follow the baby boomers throughout history, on home buying and investing in the stock market and every facet of life, they've made major impact and changes to how the economy was moving. And they're going to do the same thing to senior housing. The oldest baby boomer is 74. The average age in assisted living is 87. So there's still quite a bit of time before that demographic chicken comes home to roost, so to speak. But obviously the whole key for us was being positioned that when these major shifts are happening, that we're experienced and seasoned, and have a lot of number of beds and a lot of deal flow, across our desk, so that we can be ready when that time comes.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm in the net lease space, and we do a number of transactions for, I don't know if you heard of these companies, for Fresenius, or like the dialysis center, because aging population and stuff like that, and they have a lot of statistics on that and stuff, and that kind of goes into that same type of industry and the data there. But for people who are not familiar with that, if you could kind of elaborate on the assisted living, memory care niche, and what's it all about, and some of the opportunities that's there.
Yeah. So really, it's a service business. It's not really a real estate business. That's the first thing. There's a real estate component, but it's really a service business. Just like if you own a construction company, you may have an office. There's a real estate component to it, but it's a service business at its core. Assisted living is the same thing, but just keep in mind that unlike other businesses, you've got people's lives in your hands. You've got their well-being. Whether they have nutritious meals. Their engagement. Are they socially engaged? All those. Are they being safe? Those are all things that you take responsibility for as much as anyone can. When you get into assisted living, it's even more magnified when you get into a dementia care environment. Really the biggest difference between assisted living and dementia care is in assisted living, someone can be their own advocate. So kind of famously, if you burn someone's toast, if they're in assisted living, they should be able to tell you, hey, you burned my toast. I'd like some more that's not burned. And if they're in memory care, they may or may not be able to verbalize that. They may understand it, but they may not be able to communicate it. They may not eat the toast. They may eat it and not like it. It's different because you're having to kind of get in their world. So we've chosen to spend a lot of time in the dementia care space because we think it's a important part of society that gets often overlooked. And also we feel like that, being good at handling people with dementia is a really important part of, being in assisted living.
So how did you get into this space? I know you said you start out single family and stuff. I mean, that's not like, and I know you said you had some experience, with family that kind of, inspired you there, but how would one kind of get into this? Cause you did said it's, more small of a real estate component, but more of the service. So, I mean, you're actually running a business there.
Sure.
I can just imagine like, the operations of it, I don't know if you need specialists or doctors or nurses and stuff like that. I mean, it seems pretty complex, but can you talk about how you got into it and how one can get into this type of business?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, I have a great partnership with the Residential Assisted Living Academy, and they do a good job out in Phoenix of helping people kind of get started in the business. I kind of quickly found that personally, I like to work with students that have a good foundation. So I really like to kind of work with students that kind of have gone through the class and kind of understand the core because, if I was going to be a teacher, maybe I'd be a college professor. I don't think I'd want to teach kindergarten. And look, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a personal preference. Some people really like teaching the foundational basic 101, and that's just not stuff that excites me. So I always refer people to the Residential Assisted Living Academy. I'm sure at the end we can give out that information if somebody wants to learn a little bit more. They do a 3-day class out in Phoenix where you see assisted living homes and the foundation that you need to kind of get started. The way that I got started was, I ran a 400 unit apartment complex. I'd actually invested passively in a deal and knew that I wanted to learn property management. So I took a job at a company that I invested in. I couldn't get a job actually because when I went to all the apartments, they're like, you were a car dealer for 10 years, you made all this money. Now you want to be a $40,000 leasing agent. We don't understand that. So we're not going to hire you. It's really hard actually. So I don't want to say that I was overqualified, but I was being treated as such. And so, I talked to the person that I invested with, so my getting hired in the property management was I called the CEO. The CEO referred me to the regional manager. The regional manager referred me to the property manager. And then I got an interview. So I went exactly backwards.
Nice.
But so I leveraged that relationship and did that for about a year. And we did a good job of turning that property around. We moved occupancy about 7 points and completed a refinance. And I think they ultimately sold the property a few months after I left. But I just didn't really love it. It wasn't something that touched the heart. And the property that I worked at had probably about 30 or 35% Section 8 housing. And it was a successful property, but the summers were really hard because when the kids were out of school, there was just a lot more chaos. I can remember just crazy stuff. And I just was like, man, I'm not learning as much as I want to learn. I'm really just running around chasing little bad children, trying to keep them from breaking things. And little stuff like there was a restaurant next door that people wanted to go to. And so they would just tear the fence apart so they get there. So finally I was like, why don't we install a gate? Because they're just going to do it anyway. So it's just this like stuff, a cat and mouse type of stuff. Didn't really love it. I mean, I enjoyed the company that I worked for, but just really wasn't touching the heart. And at that exact same moment that I was thinking about transitioning out of property management, I had heard about the turning a single family home into an assisted living facility. And that seemed doable. It seemed like, okay, this could be $1 million deal. It's not some, $100 million project. And I knew at that time that I wasn't quite ready to syndicate, that I wanted to, put a deal together and then get some proof of concept and then go out and raise money from there. So we did our first deal in November of 2015. So we're just celebrating 4 years of the company's founding last week. And then we started, we bought a second property a few months later and then kind of stabilized those and then did deals 3, 4, and 5. So we have 40 beds in Dallas, 5 8-bed facilities. And that's a great business model. There's some challenges with it. And so what I always wanted to do was build a campus of care homes. So, you think about, you pull into a typical neighborhood, it's got, a number of houses, there's families contained inside those houses. Instead of maybe, multiple 3,000 square foot houses, imagine maybe fewer houses, maybe they're 9,000 square feet and they have 16 seniors in them with a central sales and admin building all right there on campus. So it looks like a neighborhood, but contained inside the houses are purpose-built assisted living facilities that are designed to be, fresh and bright and to, be ADA compliant, things like that. So that's really what we're working on now. Our big signature projects are in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and Denton, Texas, just north of Dallas. And those are several hundred beds. So right now we're doing 80 beds in South Louisiana and 96 beds in Denton, Texas, just north of Dallas.
Nice. So you're looking at for those locations, are you looking kind of like from properties that you could repurpose and then you have to make them compliant and then create into those things?
So this is a full development project. So this is
okay.
So this is 6 acres in South Louisiana, 20 acres in North Texas that we're putting in roads and sewer and infrastructure and building about between the two projects about 100,000 square feet of assisted living and memory care product.
Wow. And then so you guys do, because they got different types from, like, you have independent care, assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing.
Yeah.
But this is based off of my research and stuff like that. So are your new projects going to have a combination, or is it going to just be like independent assisted or something?
So I've chosen to focus on assisted living and dementia care. That's a good summary of the market. So independent living is basically just people that are approximately of a certain age, maybe they're age restricted communities and they want to spend time together. No care is provided. There's no licensing care. It's essentially apartments for seniors, right? So people need to be independent enough or have their own help. Assisted living, they need help with what's called your activities of daily living. These are the things that we all do throughout the day that we take for granted. You brush your teeth, you eat, you can take medication, you can take out your garbage, things like that. Well, in assisted living, people need help with those things. And then in dementia care or memory care, people need assistance and potentially have no mobility problems. Sometimes they do, but potentially have no mobility problems. And yet maybe they don't know what year it is, time and place. They can't make new memories. They suffer from impulse control. So they really need someone to keep them safe and to redirect them away from danger and redirect them away from, obsessing about the wrong thing or whatever the case may be. Skilled nursing is a medical model where you have 24-hour nursing care. It's calls it hospitals with a better paint job. And so I've chosen to focus on assisted living and dementia care because of our signature projects are very small facilities. Even though they're all on one campus, they're independently licensed. And so the reason why that matters is that these are small environments, 8 people, 16 people, things like that. And so because of that, we can take care of people that have more advanced needs. One of the biggest challenges in big buildings is if you need a lot of TLC, if they've got one caregiver for every 10 residents or one caregiver for every 15 residents, they don't have the time to do that. And in our environment, we generally stick between 1 to 4 to 1 to 6 during the day. So anywhere from double to triple what you see in a big building, and then around 1 to 8 at night, which is anywhere from double to triple what you see at night in a big building. So we can just do more. And so we get it cross-shopped from skilled nursing about 20% of the time, where people are like, hey, I have these needs. I don't have an advanced medical condition, but I need extra care. And they'd rather be in a home-like environment than be in that hospital with a better paint job setting. So we really, and the reason why that matters is independent living essentially is the senior making a choice to move there because of amenities or location or lifestyle. generally. Assisted living and memory care, often it's the family making the decision because the person can't take care of themselves. And so it's more of a need versus a want business.
Mm.
So independent living is essentially, hey, this is, I choose to live here for a lifestyle. Assisted living is often, in our case, basically, hey, I can't be safe at home. I can't function in a big building. I don't have the ability or a level of cognition to be successful in other environments. I need to be somewhere where they can oversee my care. And so a lot of our residents, not all of them, but a lot of our residents are fairly high care needs. And the reason is because we can meet those needs. So our typical client went into a big building. Maybe they fell too much. Maybe they didn't eat properly. Maybe they felt like they fell through the cracks and kind of got ignored by the staff. And so they seek an arrangement that is better. And they generally settle in on residential assisted living as being an alternative to either staying at home and spending, $15,000 or $20,000 a month of around the clock care.
Mm.
They can move into a shared care environment like ours, spend $5,000 or $6,000 a month and save money. And then also too, if their care needs are high, they can get out of a sort of a, sometimes big assisted living can sort of be like a cruise ship that doesn't leave, right? It's just this big place and you have 100-yard hallways and you're eating meals with 100 people.
Mm.
Everybody wants to be in those settings, and not
Mm.
everyone has the physical mobility to be in those settings or the cognition to do so. And so we kind of offer an alternative. So kind of our unique selling proposition is that we're small boutique facilities versus these big, 100 bed, 200 bed facilities.
That's interesting. Yeah, very interesting stuff. What about like the operation side on there? Do you have to have a certain amount of staff per? I know you say you're more small boutique, so it's not going to be, I would imagine, large. And then operational, and then like paperwork and stuff. Is there a requirement per, government regulation?
Yeah. So assisted living and dementia care really aren't regulated federally. Not really. I mean, it's mostly state regulations. It's going to vary by state.
Oh,
But the basic gist is the state gives you a checklist of things that you have to do, and you have to do those things. So for some people, that's a big burden. For us, we're like, hey, it's a barrier for entry. And, frankly, if someone says, hey, do these 10 things and gives you a list, just do those 10 things.
mm,
So yeah, there's more paperwork. It's definitely a heavy operational business. Our staff spends a lot of time, doing paperwork and, maintaining compliance with the state, and you have to be licensed, and there's definitely a burden, but at the same time, the state is your partner. They want, clean, safe, affordable senior housing. So they want to help you open your facility. You have to kind of frame it in that way that you realize they're your partner. Sometimes people, I think, sometimes see governments, oh, well, they're the enemy. They're going to inspect, they're going to do this. And I don't see it that way. I see them as a partner. They're just trying to ensure that we're holding up our end of the bargain to our clients. And, they don't want to, have residents be in situations that are unsafe and things could have been prevented if they were inspected properly. So we view them as our partner and approach it as such.
very cool. And as far as kind of like, because you mentioned as far as like the staff, as far as like referrals for new clients and patients, because I hear on the radio a lot, like a place for mom, like a service that they help families, locate, assisted living, memory care stuff. So do you guys primarily get it through referrals or through doctors, or families reach out to you guys directly?
Yeah, it's a combination of both. I mean, I think, some places the placement agents are very powerful and you'll do a lot of business with them. They're similar to an apartment locator. So you just pay a fee to them upon successful move-in. We also have a mix of people that come to us via referrals, find us on the web, get referred from families, physicians, hospice companies, home health, really, discharge planners at hospitals, things like that.
Mm. And as far as, because I know, they have Medicaid, private pay, and stuff like that. Do you guys do a combination? Because I can understand that'd be different structure. We have a place here called Masonic Care in Connecticut, which is one of the largest, in the area. And they was kind of talking about and learning more about how primarily they get a lot of their stuff through Medicaid, and they're trying to transition to more private pay because of they're just trying to balance things out. What about you guys? How does that work out for you?
Yeah, we focus on private pay. I mean, I think probably my heart would be I would love to help people that were, on government funded programs. However, right now, the way that's structured is you have low reimbursement amounts, so your revenue is pretty well capped.
Hmm.
And so most companies that do go that route, where they try to spend their time is expense control. And I don't really want to be in the expense control business. I want to be in the service revenue business.
Hmm.
And so we focus on private pay because the ceiling isn't capped. The second piece is that you have to have an entire team and department that's just focused on, getting reimbursed. The cash flow maybe isn't as good because, you might get 30 days, 60 days, 90 days before you get reimbursed. And so it just gets to a point to where we think private pay is the way to go. The other reason we like private pay is we're not subject to political machinations. So, if they can cut a program,
Right, right.
someone could do something that would cause someone to lose their net worth overnight. So we like private pay because for all the reasons named, but also too, we think it's more recession resistant. It's also less subject to political turmoil. There's no guarantee that 10 years from now they'll be Medicaid.
Hmm.
So it's just not something that we want to spend our time really being focused on. So we just focus on taking care of the folks that have the assets or have the income to afford the level of service that we like to provide.
And as far as like kind of like your business model, is this more like a legacy hold, like you just operate because it is a business, so you're kind of holding on, or is it more you guys build out, kind of maximize as much, and then kind of sell to a retail investor after that? What's kind of like your end goal there?
I think small assisted living facilities like the ones I have in Dallas are not super conducive to resell, just because they might trade on a 2 or 3x multiple, and at that point it's like, if the business is operating well, why not just keep it
Exactly. Yeah.
and continue to have the cash flow. So I think we probably will hold on to that portfolio for quite a while. On the other hand, the campuses that we're creating are essentially designed to be, maximum efficiency in how we run them, and then sell them, usually on like a 10-year timeline. Primarily because, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, the baby boomers are really going to start interacting with senior housing in the next 10 or 13 years. And so we kind of want to be in a position to liquidate some of our assets at that time.
Mm.
So it kind of depends on which one we're talking about. If we're talking about the planned care home community, then absolutely they're designed to be sold. If we're talking about, the portfolio, not really. They spin off really good cash flow. So typical, and you can very easily find deals that you have, $1 million in that might generate $120,000 to $150,000 in cash flow. So really good numbers. And so there really isn't a huge reason to sell as long as you're able to sort of hang in there on operations, because operations are difficult.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking about it for my next question regarding kind of like from a passive investor standpoint, is how what type of investor you guys will be interested, or if you guys are just completely active investors where you kind of dealing with it on your own and not having any outside investors.
Yeah, no, we've syndicated several projects. I've done about $15 million in capital raises in the last 2 years. So we're wrapping up a $5 million raise for our project, and almost $6 million raise for our project in Denton. So we do a combination of both. We invest in the deals ourselves and then bring in investors. There's a lot of people that want to be in this business that don't want to be in operations. So we're pretty turnkey. I mean, we have both a development arm, capital raising arm, and operations. And so it's all kind of, it's not under one roof, but it's under the control of one person. So essentially, I'm, for lack of a better term, a unicorn, because we're doing it all. We may outsource different things, but we formed a really good partnership with a local development company here in A&G Development. And we anticipate doing a lot of future deals with them, and really, trying to change senior housing all over Texas. And after we do it in Texas, and then do it in other places as well.
And then kind of piggybacking off that, is any other markets that you guys are eyeing right now, or you just kind of focus on this development project and kind of, see where the different marketplaces secure opportunities after that?
Yeah, because we operate in-house, we grow slower. It's not like we do a deal, turn over to third-party management, and then just wait for reports. We're in the trenches doing the things necessary to, boost NOI, to solve customer concerns, to, lease up properties, to build and design. So, we move slow. So the thing about what we're trying to do is we really want to keep a tight geographic radius. You don't want an assisted living facility in Seattle, one in Maine, one in Florida, and one in Arizona. It's just not a good model. You really want to keep things very close because you can grow your way into poor quality. And a lot of companies have done that, especially in this space, because it's a very personality-driven business. You can have all the systems and processes you want. If your executive director of a facility is bad, it's probably not going to run very well. If your caregivers aren't well trained or well managed, the facility's not going to run very well. Doesn't matter what your processes are. Doesn't matter what your CEO thinks. Doesn't matter. So in the end, when you realize it's a person business, then it really is it's more of an HR thing than anything. You really have to manage a lot of people, and generally you'll have about one employee per bed. So if you have 40 beds, you'll have 40 employees. If you have 1,000 beds, you might have 1,000 employees. And maybe that's off by a factor of 20%, but still 1,000 beds, 800 employees. It's a pretty big company. So really we're focused on Texas and Louisiana at this time. And frankly, I'm not sure that as big as Texas is, and you add Louisiana into the mix, I don't know that we could build out those states in my lifetime realistically. If we did
lots of opportunity there.
Yeah, if we did 2 big projects a year, I mean, we would be in maybe 15 or 20 submarkets. My gosh, there's 15 or 20 submarkets in Dallas alone. Or even start talking about Houston, Austin, San Antonio, sort of, Midland, Odessa, Amarillo, it's just a McAllen. I mean, Texas is so big. And then in Louisiana too, we're doing a project in Lake Charles, perhaps we could do it in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Shreveport. There's just a lot of Lafayette. There's just a lot of opportunity to really just kind of plant your flag in different cities. And so we're going to really focus on that tight geographic space. There may be some opportunities for us to joint venture with other folks in different markets who have synergy and we have, value alignment. But right now that's not our focus, just because we want to keep everything tight so that, someone can jump in a car and go solve a problem or jump on a plane and be there in a couple hours.
Yeah, you guys, it's a very interesting business model. Like I like that a lot. So we'll definitely be talking more later on, just learn more about that. Because like I said, just very interesting. So I'm glad you shared that with us. Just kind of learn a little bit more about you. What's kind of like a typical work day? And then do you have any special morning routines?
I have no typical work day. I'm a bit of an odd duck. I in addition to being, the CEO of the company and have everything we have going on, I play a lot of poker. And so like some nights are really late. Some nights I'm very relaxed. So my range of when I wake up is wide. I don't really have any morning routines per se. I like coffee, black, but right now I think to me the hardest thing you can do in business is scale a company. That's the hardest thing. I think you can start a company, you can do that. Getting a company profitable, that's hard, but a lot of people do that. Going from a small company to a medium company or a medium company to a large company, that's really where all the magic is and where all the, all your real big success stories, that's where everything happens, is in those stages. And I'm doing that now. So I'm sort of I'm in a washing machine. I'm in a spin cycle, so some days I don't have to do anything. And some days are like, just my hair's on fire.
Yeah.
So what little I have left anyway. So,
I can imagine.
Yeah. So, I'm not a very, I am seeking more routine, but I'm also comfortable in the chaos. And I think that's important if you're going to run an assisted living company or a dementia care company, because there will be chaos. There will be things that happen and you have to kind of be able to roll with the punches.
Very cool. What can you say, well, like I said, with all your success, all the stuff that you did that you're most grateful for?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think it's, at the end of the day, I always tell people this. In this country, we spend a lot of time talking about firefighters and police officers and militaries being heroes. We don't talk enough about healthcare workers. We don't talk about caregivers and nurses and nurse aides and those people that, are working 12-hour shifts, that are on their feet, that are taking care of people, that, sometimes are dealing with people that have dementia or that have, mental health issues or whatever the case may be. So I'm really grateful for our team. I'm really grateful for the people Sorry, my watch is going off. I'm really grateful for, for our team and for the folks that are out there, every day, putting their blood, sweat, and tears and take care of other people. And, I think, we need to have a sort of a culture shift where we celebrate people like healthcare workers and teachers and civil servants and people that do really important work. And I think healthcare in this country kind of gets a bad rap, in the sense that, that help people in healthcare are doing really, really important work, and we don't thank them enough. We don't talk about them enough, and it's difficult stuff. And so I'm grateful for all the healthcare workers out there that are making it possible that our residents can have a good day and have a good, nutritious meal, and not be afraid.
Yeah, very well said. I got my mother is a private duty nurse, and she's been doing that her whole life, and taking care of people and stuff. So definitely can attest to that. Very well said. So, and thank you for that. So, how do we get in touch with you?
Yeah. So generally people have three things they reach out to me for. One is they want to learn about investing. So the best way to get a hold of me is our website is thesageoak.com. So the company is Sage Oak Assisted Living and Memory Care. So the website is thesageoak.com. My email is Loe, Loe, at thesageoak.com. So if they want to learn more about investing, or if they want to just, hey, I'm in Kansas, I'm looking for a place for my mom, email me and I'll try to connect you with somebody that I know if I happen to know someone in the area. The other thing is some people want to get into the business, as you kind of asked about earlier. So anybody to the Residential Assisted Living Academy, if you just type in Assisted Living Academy, it'll pull right up, and you can have a conversation with those folks if you're interested in learning how to get into the business.
Great. Awesome. It was, like I said, very interesting discussion. Learned a lot about this. It's very interesting business, and seems like a lot of opportunities. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. And again, have a great rest of the week, and look forward to connecting again soon.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care, my friend.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes or the listening platform of your choice. Also, please check us out at DwaineLClarke.com, as well as find us on Facebook for more useful content and resources.